see, this is because of COVID-19 that a lot of people are waking up to the way that a large section, that millions of people, this is a majority of our populations of both our countries, how they're living. But do you think it's important for us not to forget that these marginalized sections of society have been suffering this way long before COVID, and they will continue to suffer in similar ways long after COVID has been controlled, or when we are able to go beyond this situation?
Absolutely. As you say, that this is a really alarming condition, but uh, there is a saying that when it happens to you, you can only understand that how it feels. So the thing is that this what we are going through this phase, we are having a lot of anxiety, we are going through a lot of problem. So we will understand that what is going through them as well, because they already have many problems. I mean, they don't have any sanitation facility. The family, the picture I showed, the family has only one common toilet that is used by 50 people. They have to
Wow.
queue every morning. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are the thing. We have to see things as a collectively, because we are no longer, because this virus already taught us that our single identity or entity cannot be, saved. We are collectively connected, because if someone is affected, I can be affected. So he
Yes.
has to be safe, then I will be safe. So
Yeah.
this already taught us that it's a collective world, and we have to help each other, we have to support each other, and we have to be together in this mission. So I really feel that we have responsibility, and especially the people who are from a privileged background, or maybe the middle class background. We have to think about them also, because whenever any disaster hit, they are the worst sufferer. So we must, government, non-profit, and as an individual, we must have to unite together to help them in this crisis. Because what is the humanity other than, if we don't help and we don't come together? So I really feel that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, Fabiha. How do you think this situation right now has affected your livelihood and that of other photojournalists and journalists, of course, in Bangladesh, but also in our region, which is Southeast Asia? There are many countries that are in a similar situation, and some that are, of course, living. They have a slightly different approach or a different kind of an existence. But a lot of countries have the same issue. So, how do you think it has been affected?
So as a journalist, a photojournalist, already we are in a challenging profession in global south, especially in Southeast Asia, because you can see, like, Bangladesh is a very small country. If you compare, with the aspect of news, and even if India is much bigger, but still, the kind of assignment we used to get as an independent photographer, or journalist, it's very limited. And we do not have the insurance, we do not have other facilities that we can use, or we do not have any kind of saving or other thing. Our work is already limited, and we always get to work at the last time, when the outlet cannot send their Western photographers on other people. The priority has always been given, the grand priority and other grand priority has always been given to the, the privileged community of photographers.
Right.
So we are already in a very grave situation. At this point, many of my assignment, I mean, the other than the COVID related assignment, all my assignment has been cancelled without any prior notice, and I don't know for the for unforeseen time, that I don't know when the next work will come. It's a mental problem, because there is a huge financial crisis going on, and in this industry, it's a really hard to survive. If you consider that we have to take a lot of courses, and the
Right.
gadget and gears are very expensive. You can see the gears I'm using for this assignment. No one is providing money for that. I have to invest from my own. So I mean, all of this situation, we are in a grave need. At this point, we are in a crisis, and I really feel that if news outlet and other organization could come forward and offer us, especially us, like Southeast Asian and the global South, then they can really help us to continue this journey. Because
Yeah.
if I get exhausted, if you get exhausted from the work we are doing, especially from financial crisis, and we
Right.
stop work, it is not going to be only our loss. It is going to be industry's loss, because I mean we have learned so much. We have the experience. We have gathered this experience. We become also an asset for the industry, for our industry.
Right.
So I really believe that news outlet and other outlets should give priority to us. Create. There are so many emergency fund, offering many other Western photographers and other photographers, but we have very limited offers. And I'm really fortunate that I'm a member of Women Photograph. That's the only organization that standing beside me in this tough time. I have received a small fund from them as
Okay.
well. But other than that, I have been applying everywhere for the emergency fund, but I haven't heard from any of this.
Okay.
And not only about the emergency fund. I was looking for work. I was looking for grant. So the
Right.
thing is that I really feel that the priority has been given to the other people who are already in a very the mid career, or already established photographer
Right.
who already have sort of capacity to continue their journey. But
Right.
I really feel that there is some kind of there is lacking from our side also, because we don't come collectively. Like for an example, in Bangladesh, we do not have any funding available from our own community that we can help each other.
Yeah.
Only few photographers are trying to help people on the
Right.
ground, but
Right.
not that we can come up with a print sale idea. We can come up with some workshop ideas from where we can have some income.
Right.
But at this moment, no one is taking this initiative, and we are all suffering individually. It's really stressful, and I believe someday from Southeast Asia, some organization will form or come, and they will listen to our problems, and they will come up with more solutions so that we can continue our journey and tell our stories.
I hope they're listening to what you just said, Fabiha, because if there are people who can afford it and who can afford to do something like this, I think it will be very, very valuable if they do this, because without journalism, like you said, a lot of other things can collapse. So yeah, so that's a
Yeah.
very, very important thing to think about. Okay, so now moving on to your, okay, I won't say because you work the same, whether you're working in COVID or not, your approach doesn't change too much. But to talk about that, you have always shared detailed information and context about the people you photograph. There is a searing sensitivity and honesty in your work that can be seen in the eyes of the people that you photograph. It's very hard to hide, what a person's eyes are saying, as all us photographers know, even though people try to do that. And in their dignity, and even in their moments of hardship, you still find, even in their moments of hardship, you find a kind of dignity in them. uh, uh, where did this approach come from for you? Because you seem to have developed this over this thing, and I'm just going to go back to uh, a share screen again. This is one of my favorite pictures of that you've taken. I had even shared it, on when I had a brief 1 week curation of the Everyday Everywhere account on Instagram. And if you see not only the picture, and how this little boy who's only 8 years old looks like he has the eyes of a 40 or 50-year-old man. And the caption that you've shared is so heartbreaking. It says, Roni, who's 8 years old, I'm just going to read out the caption. It says, no
Oh,
one
sure.
loves me. I don't have anyone to return to. I left home 2 years ago. I can't remember the address of my place. My father remarried after my mother's death, and they tortured me for no reason, so I couldn't stay with them. But I am good now. I carry people's baggage. I am not afraid of anything. Only when I am sick, I fear of being alone. And I want to be at a home. I want to be around people who would love me. Uh, I don't know where to start with this also. So I'm going to let you talk about, your approach, not, of course, with this particular picture, but more in general, your approach with talking to people like this.
Um, this is a really heartbreaking series that I was working on, because when I was working on a street children project, that was for an NGO, and later that I was also doing for my personal project. So this is a really heartbreaking project that I couldn't continue, because I mean you see Ronnie, how dangerously he is moving, but you see there is a careless thing in his in his character, that he is not he doesn't fear death. You know,
Mm.
the, that's thing that when I go very especially the people who are in this kind of situation, in very vulnerable situation, it's very tough to portray the dignity, but also show their vulnerable situation, because it is so amazing that these little children, I have interviewed hundreds of them,
Yeah.
they talk like they talk like elderly people. They
Mm.
have life experience, and it is not easy to take their picture, it is not easy to talk to them, but once you evolve into their life and
Mm.
continue your journey with honesty, I feel that everyone wants to tell about their biggest scar and what they crave for. One of the child was telling me, because I used to hug them.
Right.
I really know that these children who are street children, people fear them, because they are not, they don't take bath, and they are taking a lot of drugs and this and that. So people don't let them to go closer to them.
Right.
They're living most of them are living in the train station or bus station or
Right.
other shelter. People will give them money as a beggar, but they are deprived of love, they're
Yeah.
deprived of touch, they're deprived of affection. So I feel that why they tell me the detail of their life is also because I approach them as a friend, as a mother, as a sister.
Yeah.
Because I always like to because you have to be very careful when you're in the field, because they are teenager, you cannot always hug them, or I mean touch them. But the thing is that I always feel that they want that closeness because they lost their parents somehow, and the only thing is missing is the love.
Yeah.
If you can if you can show them that you care for them, you love them, they are going to open their heart to you, and you can depict the most honest situation from that moment. And for me, they are not just my subject or character, they are part of my life. I mean,
Yeah. That's so
throughout,
important. That
they are
word.
part
Yeah.
of
Sorry. Yeah.
yeah, they are part of my life, because one of the boy, when I was doing this project, I was following him for like I'm sorry, I'm just
No. No.
anyway.
Please. No. I
Yeah,
would like to know. I think it's important to know.
I've become very emotional whenever this. I don't share this with everyone. So I was filming. I was making a film with a street kid, and he was sick. And after some days, when they are like I have been filming with him for like many days, like
Right.
7 days. And the
Right.
last day he was sick, because when I met him, he told me that he was not getting any enough food, so he
Okay.
had a rotten bread, and then he has some stomach problem. Then I just took him to the local pharmacy and bought him
Right.
some saline and everything, and told,
Right.
and he has my number. But at that point I went to out of country for an assignment, and I was not in contact with him.
Okay.
So when I come back to the city, and I went back to the station, I was looking for him because I knew that he was sick, and there was no
Right.
other means that I was looking for him. So there were other boys who just told me that Appa, he died.
Oh my God.
So I mean, uh, I couldn't finish that film. The folder is still there.
Yeah.
Only sometime, after 3 or 4 months, I was able to open it, and I was seeing him everywhere when I was crossing the road, because the street boy used to dye their hair,
Right.
with a lot of color. So
Right.
he was like 13 years old, 13 to 14 years old. So I used to see him everywhere, and it was really painful that time, that I was thinking that he maybe was trying to call me, and I was not in the city, and he died because he had no food. And
My God.
that is really unacceptable. That is really
It
I
is.
mean, as a
It is unacceptable.
society. Yeah. So whenever I see Ronnie, whenever I mean, of course, the picture, not everyone I meet every day. So
Right.
I remember them, I remember what they told me, and that is why I continue this journey, because I really feel that if my picture if my caption, if my story can change someone's perception, and if someone wants to help them and see them in other way, the next day, like if someone listen to me and give them a hug or say them, yeah, I care for you,
Yeah.
it matters. Money, it's not always money. They
Yeah.
can earn. I mean, they are laborer. They can earn 100 taka, 200 taka one day, but it's
Yeah.
your love that they actually need. It's your care that whenever you are passing to a street children, you can say hi to him and you can ask him how are you. It
Yeah.
can make a big difference into their life. So yeah, this is why I am working, that I want to bring these stories and change a small bit of situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see that you have a very special way of working with children, which shows your ability to to connect, and not only that, your how genuine you are, because children can sense when someone is not genuine or they're not authentic to themselves. They can sense it much easier than adults, I think. So it just goes to show how you work, and even this is another one that really broke my heart. This picture, I remember the first time I saw it. Also, I was very, taken aback by it, because it just goes to show the things we consume so many things on a day-to-day basis. When we were kids, we had so many toys and other things that we didn't even think about. But here is something that is so, something almost thrown away, but something that is probably the most important possession for this child.
And this is really interesting. This picture has been used by Dolls for Girls. It's a non-profit organization. So I took this picture for my own project. It was not for them, but later the person is a really a lovely person who operate this Dolls for Girls. She used to distribute girls among refugee children, not only
Okay.
dolls. I mean, many toys. So
Right.
she used this picture in her one of the the campaign, and many people were really touched by the story, and of course with the picture, and she was able to distribute more dolls. Those dolls are really very nice, because those are is male, and those are not only Barbie dolls, those are
Right.
different color dolls.
Right.
So this is how somehow this is how we can bring some small changes in people's mind, because pictures are very very powerful. First,
Yeah.
when you see picture, and if it can evoke question, then
Yeah.
you can try to understand, and that can change your mind in somehow.
Yeah. In so many different ways. This is another, one of my favorite images of yours. Just of course the silhouettes and the complexity of the image, the
Like,
sun coming in from there, all those things are very interesting. But more than that, the caption is what always pulls me into your pictures. And when I see the caption, it gives me so much of hope that other photographers will also look at it this way. Because speaking of a lot of okay, I won't say only Western photographers, even photographers from our part of the world are often guilty of treating people like subjects. That horrible word, these are human beings with complex lives,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
they have their own inner worlds, they have their own thoughts, they have their own dreams, their own hopes, just like all of us. And we sometimes reduce them to just being subjects for our photograph. And that's something that for me personally is something that really upsets me a lot, when I see, even till now, when I see people sharing pictures without any context, any caption, any information about the person. They're sharing pictures of marginalized people, or even people who don't have who might not know where all this photo is going to travel, how many parts of the world it's going to go to, who all are going to see it. But they still make these kind of images. So yeah, so just to quickly go through a few of these things that that you have shared with us, and you see the kind of things that people are sharing. uh, 6 months I slept in this place to save money. Flame or heat, nothing bothered me. I was saving for our first child. Even the first three sentences are so give you so much more understanding of who this person is, what his motivation is, why he's doing this, what is he doing. And the rest of it, of course, gives you more information. But yeah, these are also, it's so important for younger photographers to see this, and then also to see how different things, imagery can be used to tell very complex and very heartbreaking stories. Like here, you see so many photographers photographing survivors of sexual and gender-based violence. And time and time again, we are told that it is not good to photograph. We never see pictures of the perpetrators of violence, but we always see pictures of the survivors. But here you have shown a visual that can tell us that there are so many people in these all these little houses. There might be half of these houses might have people living in them who have been, who have seen or experienced the most traumatic things that any human being can experience. But without showing their faces or showing, them in an obvious way, you have still communicated that so beautifully in an image. So it shows how many different ways the same things can be, shown. This again is another one of my favorites because of course, because of the caption, and also because of the unusual nature of, this. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk too much. Again,
No, 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 please.
you
Of
can see
course.
the you can see the dignity that you've shown her in. She has a home that's beautifully arranged, that is so clean, that that has all the things that we all have in our own kitchens. But look at how, she's saying our one room boat has a tin roof, we have no rent, and five of us live here. But you will never know that. When you look at this, it looks as beautiful as any of our homes.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, this is why it's important, because every day almost like 1.9 billion pictures is uploading in the internet, and
Yes.
it's going away in one day. So
Yes.
the reality is that you have to have something that you want to communicate with your, with your friends, with your colleagues, with your audience. So if you produce something, of course, yeah, every picture, it takes a lot of effort to take picture. I'm not saying,
Yes.
with due respect, I'm saying this to all
Yes.
photographers. I have
Yes.
huge respect, but we have to be mindful, because I always feel like if I can take, like, I mean, 30 or 20 picture of one person, I can take the time to ask his or her name,
Right.
consent,
Exactly.
why I can't do this, because they are not, zoo animal. They are human being with a life, with their
Absolutely.
they. Now internet, everyone has internet access. Even this girl has internet access from her boat. She is
Right.
connected with me in Facebook.
Right.
Imagine this. So I mean, everyone is connected and they can find their picture anywhere. So I really feel, what, because as a local storyteller, I feel like it's made me very responsible, because I know that I'm going to go back to this place again. I know that she is going to send me a friend request in the Facebook, and
Yeah.
I am well aware that my people are going to ask me that what you have done with my picture, why I am
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
If I am, if I am flying in other countries, maybe I will be not that mindful, because I will be in my head, I'll be, oh, I am not going to meet them ever again. So whatever I can take. But that is, I feel like it's a power of local photographers, it's a power of local journalists, that
Yeah.
uh, we know these people and we care for them because they belong to us and we belong to them. There is, liability, there is a responsibility. You
Yeah.
have to take, the ownership of your work. You cannot tell that, oh, I didn't have time to take this information. You cannot say this, because
Yeah. I don't accept
then,
that as well when people say that.
yeah, yeah, then why you are doing this, if you don't
Yeah.
have,
Exactly.
yeah, why you
Then
are
be a
doing.
fashion photographer or do something else where you don't need to worry about these kind of things. But one thing that to take off from what you said, Fabiha, I think also a person like you, or especially a local journalist, when they're working like this for a long stretch of time, I know that you will definitely go to another country, but and still be the same way. It's very difficult to change suddenly if you're in another country. I'm sure you will say this now, but when you go to another country, you will still be mindful. You will still be making sure that they are okay. You will still be showing them in a dignified way. You
It's
know.
really
So
because I have worked in, in European countries. I have worked extensively in
right,
Greece. I have worked in Nepal, elderly home. I remember
right,
everyone's face. I remember their name. I am sure they also remember me, because I mean,
yeah,
we cannot treat people as subject. No, not at all, because they are human beings. They have life. They have experience. So I really feel that they are equally contributing to our work, because
yeah.
they are participating. So
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's the beautiful word that you've used there. They are participating with us. We are participating with them. No one is, if there is a true equity in our relationship or our deal or our interaction with them, then, there is no question of a power difference or a power, although we do come from a position of privilege and power and we come with the camera, we can try to at least be mindful of that, and not to make it an issue later on for ourselves. Now,
We
this
should.
picture again is one that I really like as well, especially since I now know that you are also an accomplished Western classical violin player yourself. Unfortunately, Fabeha doesn't have her violin with her at this moment. Otherwise, I was going to get her to, to play a little bit for us. Maybe
So
someday, all of you can bug on Instagram. I think all of you should start irritating Fabeha now to post some videos of herself playing violin. We would love to see that. I would love to see that for sure. So yeah, so and also a beautiful story. Of course, you see how even in the most difficult circumstances, there are people who can be artists, who can be creators, who can do the most wonderful, sublime things, without much training or anything. So we should never look at someone and judge them immediately for what they look like or what we see them in or what we think they are. They might be far more complex than that. So
and
now, yeah, sorry, please
mm,
tell me. Yeah.
because I want to add this, it's important. That's why, her name is Paki. So one of my friend, I don't want to tell his name. He's from abroad. So he is sponsoring this girl for education,
Wow.
and when he offered this, support, I was really, because that. We cannot help in the field, that we are not,
Yes.
but sometimes, like doing some small daily bazaar, we cannot stop ourselves for doing these things,
Yes,
like
yes,
buying medicine. We have to do it, we are human
yes,
beings. But
of course.
these are the situation when someone want to support other person, knowing their stories and knowing them, and she's like continuing her education for last 2 years, with the support of that friend. So
Yeah, and
I'm just the medium to connect them. I'm just the medium to connect them. So it really feels good, because that somehow if you can little bit change someone's life and give them some hope, it also matters.
of course it matters a lot. And I know that a lot of your pictures I've noticed also people asking you in the comments how they can help because, and this is the importance of your work as well, so that the fact that people who never know about these, the people that you're, collaborating with to photograph like this, they would never know about Paki or so many other people that you photographed. And because you've done this, they get to know about them and they can help them directly. And, that forms a whole new beautiful ecosystem of people being there for other people and being compassionate towards other people, which I think is, so important.
Like exactly,
Now,
we have
yeah, yeah,
working in the slum, in this COVID situation, me and my some of my colleagues. So there are so many people came forward and they want to know who are in crisis, because we have the access. I mean, everyone is suffering, but some people are, the single mother or the textile worker who laid off recently. Though they are in very, very bad situation. So we are passing those information, the transgender community that I showed. So we are just
right,
passing that information. We are becoming a medium to introduce them.
right,
Um, there are so many good heart people who wants to help, but they don't know where. I mean, how they can help. So sometimes we can be also the medium without, without just directly giving them the help. We can also connect people, the both
exactly.
parts. That's
Yeah.
how we can also bring some change. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to look at it. So, Fabiha, you've worked on the front lines of cyclones, floods, and earthquakes. I know you're also the type of person who thinks about those who are suffering, more than you and focus on them. But in these kind of situations, I'm just going to show you a picture of you wading through flood waters, to make a photo. How do you take care of yourself in these situations?
Um, See, it's a very dangerous job. I know it's not easy, because when like for this taking this, it was in Sundarban.
Right.
So when I went to an assignment, it was during the time of cyclone, and people were going, people were running away from cyclone, and I am going inside the
Towards
zone.
it. Right.
So
From time to time, you share bits of your personal writing and poetry. I know you've liked to write poetry for most of your life, and with the kind of photos that we all make on the side of our assignments. On the side, little bit, we make a few photos for ourselves. Could you tell me a little bit about your creative process? Can we expect maybe a book or something else coming out from Fabiha, which is not related to documentary or journalistic work, but your
Yeah,
personal
of
work?
course. Yes, of course, because as I told you that there are so many little stories. The stories of a refugee mother in the Greece, the story of Ronnie, and the
Right.
story of the boy that died without without saying a goodbye to me. And of course, even my personal life, my
Yeah.
personal struggle, that how like I mean. Um, my relationship with my father and my parents, all
Yeah.
these things. I used to write a lot because I love to write, and as you say, that poetry and writing things is a way of expressing my inner self. This is
Right.
how I express myself. So of course someday I keep some journal with me all the time and took some notes, and where someday of course it's not only about photography. Someday I will be able to publish a book maybe, or self memoir maybe, and
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
able to share with other people who wants to know.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to it. So
Yes.
we're waiting for that to happen. Just a few more questions before we can wrap up. Why do you think it's so important to have more women working in the photo industry and in the media industry in general? Not just photos, but I mean in the media industry.
In 2016, there was a survey in Bangladesh. Only 5% female journalists are working in the media industry. Only
Okay.
5%. And in
Okay.
in worldwide, only 15%
Wow.
photojournalists are actively working in the field. It's a very
Right.
tiny bit of number.
Yeah.
There is serious disproportion number of women, because you have to see the world in the eyes of women also, with innocence and sensitivity, because gender matters. And also I have an unimaginable access to women's life, including
Right.
all my female colleagues have that access, if I
Right.
consider that a Muslim country and other aspect. So I
Right.
feel that we can tell stories that a man are not always can tell from his like part of capability, because of the
Yeah.
access. And
Yeah.
also that is why I feel that we need more platform. We need support from everywhere, because naturally women are not very confident. I mean, say like my male colleagues are very confident. I think like 100 times before applying for a grant, like if I'm
Right.
eligible, if I can do. But I have seen that my colleagues are like swiftly applying everywhere, and they are saying, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm the best. So their approach is like they're the best, and we are like always, we are living inside our assumption that maybe I'm not the right person for this job. But I feel that if we have more training, acceptance, appreciation from the society, then we will be able to break this cycle, and we can contribute to the society and also to our the female population as a whole, with our work and with our tenderness. I really believe that it's important to have our voice, as well as male gaze and female gaze. It should be in a 50-50 inequality. I believe
I
so.
mean, I mean, I would put it another way. Actually, I think we have seen enough of the male gaze. Most of the history of photography has been through especially. I mean, and I'm going out on a limb by saying this, but the white male gaze has been predominantly the one that the world has been shown. So people have seen the world according to white men more than any other kind of human beings. And of
Exactly.
course, after that, followed by brown and black men and other men, of course. I think, honestly, as a man, I would say it's time for men to pass the mic. And
Mhm.
or if possible, even be passing on assignments to women, not for any other reason, not because we are so great and we should do this, but because the world needs to see more perspectives from women coming out, because I think those are going to be far more valid and far more nuanced and far more the kind of perspectives that bring about genuine change or authentic change, far more than men could ever do. This is my personal view. I am not saying that this should be a general viewpoint, but I really feel this very, very strongly that, I would, if, for instance, tomorrow, if there is a choice between me and you doing an assignment, I would much rather see you doing the assignment, because we have seen a million men do the same kind of thing, but I haven't seen you do it. So I would rather, see the perspective that you bring to the table. Anyway, that
Thank
is
you for the
something.
support. appreciation. You were always supporting. You have been really a great support for me and everyone. I mean, especially like I mean, female photographer working. As you say that, of course, this is a really important because you know we need this support. And what you said that the male white gaze, our difficulty is not only about the white gaze male gaze. Our difficulty is that whenever a female is getting an opportunity, it is maybe a western female photographer, maybe it's from
Right.
European photographer, maybe a
Right.
USA based photographer. So our struggle has a layer. So
Yeah.
diversity is really another a big question of debate that we might talk again sometime later. But we have to see stories from diverse background. And of course from like black and brown female journalists like us, we have to get the platform sometime. It's not always like uh, whenever people are talking about the female photographer, again, the
Yeah.
privileged Western female photographers are getting the
Yeah.
platform. See the
Yeah.
grant, the big, the big platform. I don't want to name them. They are always getting the chances. Oh, what else? So we are the all subjects. The black and brown bodies are the subjects. So
Yeah.
sometimes they have to trust us. And I always fight for one thing. It's a different kind of personal fight. Maybe someday I will have a foundation so that I can speak about it more. The thing is that uh, so many big news organization and big news outlets are sending Western female and male photographers in Bangladesh, journalists. Why they are not collaborating with us? Because when you are getting a $20,000 grant, $30,000 grant, you can make a collaborative approach that okay, you are
Yep.
going to Bangladesh, you have to have a Bangladeshi female photographer in your project, or a journalist, or a
Yeah.
male.
Yeah.
I mean, why it is not a collaborative project? Why they are telling our stories and all are white? I mean, male and female and everyone.
Yeah.
So it should change somehow. But because we are not getting the chance, I cannot go to Mexico and work. I cannot go to
Yeah.
USA and work.
Yeah.
So,
There is no chance. Yeah. There's no
I
chance
mean,
you would be
it should,
taken to Italy to do work on
there is
COVID, for instance. There's no way.
no way. No matter how much how many years experience I will gather, it is not going to happen in so many years. So this is another thing that we should really discuss and think about ourselves, because it's not only about the platform about female photographers. It's also about a diverse, female background. Like
Yes.
because we don't have. I'm a self-taught photographer. I have received a scholarship, this year from Ateneo de Manila University, Philippines. So
Uh,
now I am learning. So, but I mean, we are learning on our own, and there are so many scholarship, portfolio reviews. Those are only available for certain group and in certain cities where we not all of us have access. And
yeah.
sometimes only 1% or 2% are getting all the opportunities. Why is this tokenism? That
Yeah.
can be distributed fairly because they know who is
Yeah.
working. It's not very tough for them to find out who is working 5 years or 3 years. I mean,
Yeah.
there is everyone is getting published in everywhere. So why it is not very difficult to find them who is working? I'm not talking about me. I'm also talking about other people from India, from my friend
Yeah.
from Pakistan. We used to talk about these
Yeah.
things, and my friends from Nepal. So why
Yeah.
not us? Like sometimes I think we need this support as well. We don't want to be always the when you are choosing as a subject, you can also choose us from this perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also, I think I mean, all that you've said, I agree with wholeheartedly. These are things that, as you know, we have all been talking about a lot online as well. Wherever we can, we've been trying to talk about these things. And I think it's most important for in this day and age, especially for local voices to be heard. So for people to be telling their own stories in some way. So I would like to see a stage even where even in the rural areas of my own country, that people are with smartphones are able to tell their own stories. Because even me as an urban dweller, when I go to a village, I will never understand the nuance and the subtlety and the layers and the complexity of a life that a person who has lived there all their life will understand. And how they will show their own life will be very different from the way I will show it. Even if I collaborate, even if I'm there for a long time, even if I do it as a long term project, I will never still understand it the same way. So I think this thing of, like you said, first of all, diverse voices, local voices, these are all very, very important aspects and things for people to think about in today's world, and not just be blindly following these, great white names that we've heard of growing up. Yes, a lot of them are great photographers. I'm not denying their skill or their technical ability, but a lot of them have also made their careers on the backs of brown and black bodies whom they're photographing, and brown and black bodies who have been so-called, this other dirty word that I don't like, fixers, that they love to call fixers, who have made their stories happen. So without the cooperation and the help of all these people on ground, none of their work would have happened, that they have got multiple awards, multiple publishing, a lot of money for that as well. So these are all things, of course, for all of us to, to think about and to say how we do it. And so I think it's a good time for us to move into a very beautiful statement that you have made. And now I am quoting Fabeha from another interview, when she says, I have learned that there is communication beyond word and vision. When you enter a room, people just don't look at you, they can immediately feel you. That's your true identity. Now, this is something that really resonated with me very, very deeply. Could you tell us rather a little bit more about this feeling that people have when you enter a room that most of us ignore at most times?
You can see one thing, that um, if you try to remember some faces after some time, 6 months, 1 year, you will forget the face. You cannot remember this face anymore, no matter how, even even sometimes my mother face. My mother is going to kill me now. But I mean, it's true.
Yeah,
Sometimes we just
yeah,
don't
of course.
remember but we always remember how the person make us feel.
Yeah,
That is the true self. When you remember, you cannot after some time you are going to forget my face. Trust me, you are not going to remember my face. But whenever you remember me, like Fabiha, you will have a feeling for me, the person I am. That is our true identity. So I truly believe that when you enter into a room, people can feel what you are feeling. I mean, if you are honest with them, like every time when we are going for reporting and this and that, I always feel that when I'm entering into a room, I I haven't spoken a word. Like in the
yeah,
past, I didn't say a word. They were very welcoming. They were very warm. They welcome me in a very warm way. So I feel that it's a soul to soul connection. It happens with
yeah,
everyone. I mean, even in online, I really feel that we are talking with each other. Maybe many people can, connect with both of us in some level or another, if our
hmm,
journey is kind of similar. They can,
yeah,
this is our human instinct that we can, we have a feeling for some people that this person is like this person is like that. So
yeah,
it's about just kind of that feeling. I feel that that is our defining moment, and that is
yeah.
how actually we shape our life. Yeah, that's how
And
someone is going to remember it.
and that's our true, and in a sense, that's our true authentic self as well, which is beautiful. If we can be that true version of ourselves more often than not, then we'll always be on the right path. We'll always find the right inner guidance or the right things that come our way or take us to the right places. And by right, I
Exactly.
mean not success, but something that is truly beneficial for ourselves and for people around us.
Yeah, of course, because
Yeah.
success can be measured in many other ways. Yeah, it's true, very true.
So, Fabiha, what does it mean to trust yourself? Because I find this is I'm asking this to myself as well, because sometimes I have this feeling that oh, I have this imposter syndrome, which is a very common thing that I guess a lot of people who work with creative things, they feel that, oh, am I really this, am I just pretending to be this, what is it? So how do you personally, how do you trust yourself?
See, if you are honest with yourself, if you don't judge other people the way, like, I mean, because of my work, I'm really grateful to my work. I have learned that people can have so many stories inside them. I mean, I'm guessing someone is this, but this is how this work process has made me feel that I stop judging people.
Mm.
I totally, because I know I have to learn about the person, the way they are going to show me. And also it's true about me, because you cannot be separate from your authentic self. You can be different in half an hour, you can be different one day or maybe some hours, but at the end of the day you have to face yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like it's always speaking there is a Mayan Shila quote that right the right may not be beneficiary, the night may not bring you something. Remember that. So this is the thing, that the right thing might not be profitable for us, but
Right.
this is going to bring peace to our soul, because if you know that you are truthful, you are honest. Maybe it is going to hurt some people. Maybe your honesty is not take people cannot take honesty. People like to sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
People like to say lying. But if you are true to yourself, people will definitely one day understand that this is you and this is your truth. They're going to accept you in any way. That is what I really believe, and this is how I have been working.
That's wonderful, which brings me to my last question. What gives you inner peace and satisfaction personally?
It's a very difficult question, Harry, because I mean, we don't have peace. The kind of work we do, it's always haunt us. It is
Yeah.
always there, because when I'm eating, I'm thinking about the family. They only have, two potatoes and small,
Right.
lentil.
Exactly.
So whenever I cannot buy luxury item, because it's kind of I mean, we are this is the experience we have to take. But the thing is that what I feel like, the peace is when you know that you are trying to do your best.
Yeah.
That is what I feel like. It makes me grateful every single day that I am trying my best. Maybe this is not the best thing I'm doing, but I am trying my best, and this gives me some peace. I feel so.
That's a beautiful way of putting it. And sorry, I just had one last one. Why is it so important, or how important is it to share knowledge freely so that others might learn? And this basically, I'm talking about what we're doing right now also, so that others might learn from our mistakes and our triumphs as well. But more importantly, our mistakes. Why do you think it's so important? Yeah.
Yes, of course. For an example, that even when I started my career, and before that, I had no idea about ethics. The ethical perspective of photography, ethical perspective of journalism, ethical perspective of filmmaking. So the thing is that there are some people, for an example, my friend Chirag and some other mentors, throughout their conversation, from their resources, from their sharing, slowly, and also from women photograph, because Daniela Jackman is promoting about female
Right.
photographers and everything, and then the native agency Laura is talking about the diversity. So I have been learning slowly from them. Adriana from
Right.
Vizura, so she has been inspired. She is inspiring me from since the day one. So, and of course my mentor Nita Satim. I cannot tell. I mean, I cannot. I become very nervous when I even speak about her name. So the thing is that they always give me some hope, and I have learned so much from them. I mean, they are not an institution, they are not any academy. That's not academy, they are individual, but I have learned from them. But when someone started a journey, they only look for big photographers work. They will
Right.
go, for an example, James Nachtwey, then the Steve McCurry work, and the
Mm.
Salgado's work, David Allen Hardy's work, and they will make a huge list of this thing, and they will get inspiration from them. But this is also so important to get inspiration from the real life people who are like us, the like
Right.
us, from the similar kind of journey, or being have already been go a long way, so they can help us in many ways. And this is why I appreciate your this attempt and this initiative very much, because I
Thank you.
really feel even in Bangladesh and India, in Pakistan and Nepal, people do not have any many photographers have no idea from where they will start, and from ethical
Yeah.
perspective, from about the diversity, they don't
Yeah.
know these things, and what can be, what can be good, what can be bad. Like we spoke about the captioning thing, we spoke about that
Right.
we cannot just turn away our lens and move to the next subject. We have to
Right.
stop and we have to know the
Right.
name. So they can learn from us in this way. I had been learning this way from other people because they were sharing these things for free from their Instagram posts, from their free calls, or from our conversation, from their tweets. I have learned this way. So I really feel that if we have this kind of platform more and more, we are going to learn so much, and having this conversation going on is very important for the aspiring photographer and the newcomer, so they can learn and flourish in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I know I learned a lot from this conversation from you, and with that, we come to the to the end of this very first episode, let's call it, of Insight, with Fabeha and I. You can see more of Fabeha's work on her website, fabehamonir.net. And also, please go and follow her on Instagram at fabeha.anahita, which is Fabeha.anahita. If you liked what you saw and heard, please do subscribe on YouTube, or you can check out my Instagram handle at Hari_Adivarekar for updates on new episodes. And do share this video, most importantly, not for me or Fabeha, but so that this knowledge spreads free and wide. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, breathe easy and be kind to people around you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fabeha.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.